I'm Amy Shannon, and this is Storytelling with Amy Shannon. I've been doing these videos because I have problems now writing, either handwritten or typing. I do the best I can, and when I can't type, I use voice command. Aside from all my everyday migraines, I have a motion disorder, but they haven't figured out exactly which motion disorder it is yet. So I'm going to continue doing these videos and hope that, people would like to just sit and listen to some stories. The topic today I'm really thinking about is the art of storytelling. So I'm going to tell a story about storytelling. If you think about it, the voice and oral communication of people and language started well before there was a written word. And even after there were written words, the earliest printed book was all handwritten. But tribes, cultures, families, whatever group of people that were in communities together, they, in order to not only preserve their history, but also share their faith and their beliefs, they would tell stories. Stories of ancestors, stories of what people in their community have done prior, generations of hunters or people who worshipped certain idols or gods, or even when you think about it, we consider, like Greek and Roman mythology as myths, but it's a possibility that maybe a part of those myths was true in order to, come up with something creative and storytelling-wise. Just because we don't know, we haven't seen something, we've never experienced something, doesn't mean that it didn't exist. Over the years, when the same story is told, usually the new storyteller will, put their own spin on it or changes because it's changed over the years. Personally, I am a big fan of history, and even way back to, Greek mythology and before that. I like knowing stories of people who were here beyond me, before me, and I really like learning about my family history, how they came to this country, what they did to survive, how they raised their families, and from the differences between my father's side of the family and my mother's side was the history is so very different. Different aspects, different lifestyles, different beliefs, different thoughts, occupations, everything is totally different. And then yet my parents met and they fell in love. And they were married for 25 years, ups and downs, with 5 children and any other child that my mom would watch. And they were married for 25 years. And then a few months after their wedding anniversary, my mom passed away. But the stories are different. I like to share my childhood stories, my memories, such as they are, with my children. I also share my imagination through storytelling. I've been a storyteller since I was 4 and made up my first story telling my mom, and then I kind of retold the story of the 3 bears in my own way, and my mom I remember she had a tape recorder and she taped me. I have no idea where that tape is anymore, but I remember listening to it years later. So my mom's the one that gave me this title of storyteller. But I think that it's so important to share what you've learned, share your experiences, but also share your creative mind. I mean, sometimes writers, their writing is based on experiences or knowledge of a subject. Sometimes, like when I write about or have written about certain people or occupations, I could write about a police officer without ever having to be a cop, but I actually had to do research, learn about procedures and policies and how they, work on a daily basis. I did the same thing with doctors and, any type of person that, maybe is not part of me or I've never experienced it, but I put in my mind how I think they would act or be based on their situations. And I like to do that. I like to throw characters into situations and see how they would react, because each character to me is like a different person, and I think of them that way. Storytelling is really important to me because I think it will continue on my legacy. I mean, I share stories of not only my childhood, but I share stories of my mother and my grandparents with my children. And I hope that if they have children of their own, that they would also share those stories, because no one wants to be forgotten. And people can live on as long as their stories are being told. Stories don't have to be fact or fiction. They just are told. And the best part about stories, exaggerations are perfectly fine. If you tell a story well, the almost impossible becomes probable or possible. It's a really interesting kind of idea, and I hope that even though I might not be able to continue to write my stories, I'll be able to tell them, even in feeling as I feel. So this is Storytelling with Amy Shannon. And, if you have a story to tell, do it. Share with your family your experiences. Share with your friends, your children. Share stories of generations that came before you. Knowing who you are and where you've come from can sometimes be a great comfort to the ideas of where you may be going. So have hope, and if you have faith, hold on to that. Thank you.